Already in communist China, a surge of demands for human rights and democracy had ended in tragedy. On Tiananmen Square in Beijing, tanks and troops had attacked peaceful demonstrators and slaughtered them. The world shuddered. Would reform in Eastern Europe end like this? Erich Honecker in East Germany admired the Chinese solution to political protest. Honecker refused to admit that anything was wrong with his own system.
I told them that they were responsible for the situation in their own countries. You decide what reforms you need. We need perestroika. Whether you need perestroika is up to you. Honecker said, "We've done our perestroika. We have nothing to restructure."
But in reality, East Germany was rotting away. Pollution poisoned air and water. The economy was running down. The police state stifled all initiative. There was apathy in public, daydreams in private.
Wissen Sie, die meisten in der DDR hatten sich eingerichtet, hatten sich zurückgezogen.
Most people in the GDR withdrew into their private lives.
Absolvierte den Job.
You went to your job, saw to it that your private life was protected from harm.
Einbringen kann, integrieren kann.
Then you withdrew into your home, with your friends, in your own private world.
Die berühmte Datscha, die man hatte, zurück. Und die
You criticized society at home,
die wurden,
but only among people you trusted.
vertrauten Kreis sehr kritisch beleuchtet.
Eine Videokamera, die im Haus
There was a video camera installed in the building opposite us, which was trained on our window.
filmte. Also jedes private
Every private word we said, every dispute about who had to do the dishes, every argument with the children was listened to and noted down. Everyone who entered our house was videotaped.
That summer, East Germans rushed to take holidays in Hungary. There was an escape hatch. Hungary's border with the West was weakening. In Budapest, East Germans besieged the West German embassy, demanding help to emigrate.
It was known that every German from the GDR who chose to live in freedom and democracy would get all possible support from us.
The West German Chancellor, Helmut Kohl, had confidence in Gorbachev. Kohl planned to rescue the Hungarian economy if the East Germans were allowed to go west. He trusted Gorbachev not to block the deal with the Hungarians.
Die hier stehenden Mitglieder, Bürger der DDR, können mit ihnen DDR passieren, das Land verlassen.
The Hungarians agreed to let the East Germans cross to the west. Honecker called the refugees moral outcasts.
I believe he felt a mixture of anger and utter contempt for these masses of people.
Wie überhaupt bei jemandem im Einzelnen auch, der das tat. In einer Mischung.
These ungrateful people who had run over to the other side.
Über Undankbarkeit nenne ich es mal.
The refugees had been traveling from East Germany to Hungary in the hope of getting to the west. Now East Germany blocked travel to Hungary. Desperate, the fleeing East Germans turned to Czechoslovakia. They gathered at the West German embassy in Prague.
We had no prospects. I didn't want my child to grow up under that repression. It wasn't just that we couldn't travel, it was small everyday things.
When the embassy was full, the refugees climbed into the garden.
We didn't know what was going to happen to us. We knew there were many people inside waiting, but we weren't sure whether there would be police inside, or even the state security police, the Stasi. We walked fearfully along the fence, and then people from inside the embassy came up and said, "Don't you want to come in?" We were astonished and said, "Yes." "Wait," they said, "we'll get a ladder." We climbed the fence and were inside. At first, we saw just people. It was frightening. People everywhere.
More and more refugees crammed themselves into the embassy and refused to leave.
Ich habe da keine Perspektive gehabt. Gearbeitet die Woche 70 Stunden, 30 Stunden maximal geschlafen und am Ende 1500 Mark drüber geblieben. Das ist nicht normal, das ist keine Perspektive für meine Familie und mich.
The Czech police made futile attempts to stop the inrush. Inside the embassy, the overcrowding and squalor grew worse day by day. Both German governments, East and West, were at their wits' end. West Germany's foreign minister, Hans-Dietrich Genscher, came to Prague. Under Soviet and West German pressure, Honecker had consented to a face-saving deal. The refugees could go to West Germany, but only if their train crossed East German territory first. Then Honecker could claim that he had expelled them and cancelled their citizenship.
The train stopped. Two men opened the doors. "Good day, we are from the state security and will collect your identity cards now." And I will never forget how they had to bend down to collect these documents, because the people threw their identity cards at their feet. The feeling was, there's your card, you can't threaten me anymore. It was very satisfying.
Back in Prague, a new wave of refugees stormed the embassy fence. Their last chance of reaching the West seemed to be vanishing. Within a few days, another 7,000 people had scrambled into the embassy garden. Some East Germans chose to stay and protest. The Lutheran churches were sheltering an opposition movement. Inspired by Gorbachev, the protesters dreamed of turning East Germany into a democracy.
Ich glaube, für die meisten war Gorbatschow eine große Hoffnung.
Gorbachev gave us great hope.
In verschiedener Weise.
First of all, he tried to change his country in the same way as we wanted to change our country, through perestroika, a gradual liberalization.
Des ganzen Systems.
In Leipzig, the police struck back. On September the 4th, Western journalists filmed plainclothes security men as they attacked the demonstrators. Soon came a new chant of defiance. "We are staying here."
"We are staying here" was a protest against what the GDR had done. Namely, to drive young people to leave the country because they had no prospects. That was a turning point, and people said, "We still have hope."
Every Monday in Leipzig, there were demonstrations at the Nikolai Church. They swelled into mass protests. The police tried to stop them. that the government was losing its nerve.
Kennwort dafür, Sprach.
In short, we were speechless
Losigkeit
because we were
aus
helpless.
Hilflosigkeit. Weil dieses Land
Because this country
und diese Führung
and this leadership
nie
had
erlebt
never
hatten,
before experienced a conflict
eine Konfliktsituation
which was so openly expressed.
dartun konnte.
Only Honecker seemed to notice nothing amiss. On the eve of East Germany's 40th anniversary that October, he was confident as he waited with his colleague Egon Krenz to greet his senior guest, Mikhail Gorbachev. The Soviet delegation already knew that the East German regime was tottering. The outward show of victorious celebration went ahead. Then, at the torchlight parade of communist youth, the marchers dropped their rehearsed slogans. They began to chant another name, Gorby. Honecker pretended not to notice.
These were specially chosen young people, strong and good-looking. They were in a cheerful mood, but they started chanting slogans. Gorby, help us. Gorby, stay here. Rakowski, the Polish leader, came up to us and said, "Do you understand German?" I said, "I do a little bit." "Can you hear?" I said, "I can." He said, "This is the end." And that was the end. The regime was doomed.
This was a vote of no confidence against us. Gorby Gorby did not mean do it exactly as it was done in the Soviet Union. Gorby Gorby meant we need change here in the GDR.